Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, this beautiful Sunday, wherever you are listening me from. My name is Paul Simon Mzakazi Phiri. I'm an author specialized in inner healing literature, and I've worked so far on 2 books that are based on inner healing, but the disposition of the content is a little bit different, but the structure is the same. The first book is It Is Never Enough, a book that talks about healing from the pain of losing a loved one in death, but in other traumatic experiences. Then my second book is I Wish to Blame, that is healing parental and childhood trauma. Now, in this season in which humanity is progressing, I have decided to introduce a podcast series known as Tikambe with Paul. And I just want to imagine with you, or I rather want to think with you, what is it that is running in your mind when I talk about Tikambe? So Tikambe is a Zambian word or terminology, specifically Nyanja, but also it has got its root in the eastern part of Zambia. Tikambe, Tilankule. That is when I want to go a little bit deep in Chewa, which simply means let us talk. Now, there is a common saying which says, a problem shared is a problem half solved. And a lot of us, we are getting a little bit familiar with therapy. But in the mystical theology, I would also want us to look at caring. Caring also sometimes it simply means talking about the shadows of the soul, talking about something that you thought or you think is not affecting you, but actually the external factors can show that something is affecting you. Let's talk about it. And I'm a firm believer that I always tell people, wherever I get a chance to interact with them, one of the things I usually tell them is, there is no story that is ugly to tell. And a lot of us, maybe 90% of the people, they think their story or what they went through is something that is absolutely ugly. And they think, no, I can't share such kind of a story. This is something of the past. Let the be gone. Let the past be the past. But you see, I love to borrow the words of Thomas More, who said, one way to which we are going to become comfortable with what happened to us is when we can honor the language of the soul. And one language of the soul is allowing the soul to express itself. And one way in which the soul can get to express itself, it is when you allow to talk about it. Now, of course, these days there's a lot of mixed feeling about how people want to share their feelings or express their feelings, because one or the other they feel, okay, I'm going to be judged, or this kind of a conversation is going to be screenshot, or maybe I'm going to find it on a certain page, people giving it as an example. Now, the kind of talking here that I mean is where independently to someone you trust or to yourself, you get to talk about that thing intimately, how it affected you, how it changed you. There are a lot of situations that currently are changing people. The way we used to know you, very jovial, cheerful, full of life. But this time around, you have just suddenly put out of everything. You no longer have motivation. You no longer believe in love, for example. You no longer believe in marriage. You no longer believe in relationships. You no longer believe in God. You no longer believe in the existence of purity and so many other things. Now, what has made the change? Let's talk about it. So this is what it simply means, Tikambe. And as I've obviously said, there are people that feel inferior about their story. There are certain people that feel their story isn't making a lot of sense. Their story will never make an impact, or their story can never make any difference. But partly I want to tell you or to show you how probably you might be wrong about that. Because I always tell people, and I'm a firm believer, that there's no story that is ugly to tell. So the way you share your story, the way you bring it out the way it is, that is your story. That is part of your soul, and is something that has become the shadow of your soul. So the way you share about it intimately, it makes you to be who you are. And I've always and often tell people that what you share makes you to be you. It doesn't make you less of a human, but it makes you more human. I've often tell people that in sharing our stories or talking about things that affect us makes us to progress further to become full human beings. And at the backbone of everything, it is also the celebration of our human existence. We are also acknowledging our human nature. And so me bringing this series, Tikambe with Paul, I am not trying to force you to speak or to talk, but I just want us to look at what happened to us and what is it? Is there a meaning? Is there a name that we can give your story? That story becomes something that someone can learn, that someone can get inspired over, or someone can get inspired on, that they can look at themselves and say, oh yeah, so this definitely happened to this particular person, and they were able to overcome this, but then they're still there. So to whoever is following this podcast, whoever is following this audio, one of the things that I did want to encourage and to tell you is, it is time. It is right about time that we should break the shell and come out of that shell. For example, maybe you have been sinking so much. You have been sinking so much in shame, in guilty, thinking like, when I share this, I'm going to be judged. When I share this, people are going to distance from me. Well, maybe the opposite is not true. Maybe when you are going to break the shell, you are going to break everything free and loose. Can I tell you this? You deserve better. You deserve happiness. You deserve joy. And that can come when we talk about what we need to talk about without feeling inferior or feeling judged. And so in my segment of Tikambe with Paul, I will allow people to be themselves. And I'll allow myself, as I'll be presenting, and also allowing few people to be coming on board that would want to share certain things, that we can be as human as we can. Because I believe the more we become human in our own shadows that have been overwhelming our souls, the more spiritual we become, the more psychologically healthy we become, the more emotionally healthy we become. A lot of relationships, a lot of friendship rather, a lot of marriages are breaking right now because of the things that have not been expressed. And much more of how we have dishonored the soul. But in Tikambe with Paul, we want to honor the soul by expressing that which we feel cannot be talked about, but actually it can be talked about, and it can help us to see and understand certain things. I am super excited. I am excited that you're joining me on this journey, and I pray that you are going to enjoy this journey. One of the things I'm going to tell you, and that I'm going to be real with you, is feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to suggest topics that we can talk about. Feel free to express what you feel needs to be addressed. Is it a relationship? But not shaming anyone, not bullying anyone. In this space, we are going to allow ourselves to be ourselves and therefore to heal ourselves. This is the segment. This is exactly that which you are going to find in this space. So, as we kick on this introductory of Tikambe with Paul, I advise you to subscribe to this channel. Make sure to like the channel, to like the video, like the audio. Click on the bell button so that you don't miss on any podcast that I'll start uploading, so that together we can learn, together we can heal, and together we can share our stories so that we become better and not bitter. In this segment, I want to share with you and to teach you the importance of sharing whatever is going through in us, so that the more we talk, the more we speak, the more we listen to ourselves. I want to tell you this. We have listened to a lot of people, and a lot of people have listened to us. But when last did you listen to yourself? When last did you talk to the inner child in you? When last did you sit and interact or have a dialogue with the inner child in you? Well, can I count it that it's a blessing that you're coming across Tikambe with Paul? So in Tikambe with Paul, we are going to talk to our inner child. We are going to talk to ourselves. And therefore, we are going to appreciate ourselves, that our stories are not ugly, but our stories are beautiful, to talk about them. And they can be a point of inspiration to other people. I'm looking forward that you're going to stick around as we're going to upload a lot and lot more of podcasts that together we can continue to grow and to learn. Today's segment, you are joining me as Paul Simon Mzakazi Phiri. I'll be your coach. I'll be your host. I'll be your presenter. There are times I'm going to be your teacher. There are times I am going to be a presenter when I invite another guest. Stick around. Like the page. Be around. Share it with others. Invite others. That together we can grow this. Together we can make this happen. But always remember, your story is not ugly to tell. So what do we expect in this podcast? We are going to expect a lot of real life situation, real life stories, real life experiences of people sharing their stories, issues that we felt cannot be discussed, but issues actually that can be discussed, that together we can make our society better, that we can make our country better, that we can make our lives better, and also we can make the church better. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've been your host on this podcast, and I hope you have gotten what I mean when we say Tikambe with Paul. In other ways, let us talk with Paul. Stay tuned, stay around, as more audios and videos are coming where we are going to talk intimately. It's right about time that we should talk intimately. It is that time of the year that we should talk intimately so that we can become better and not bitter. Thank you so much for joining me. I wish you God's blessings. May God preserve you, your families, and everything that concerns you. I wish you a blessed evening, and I wish you and I look forward to meet you next week, same time, same space, Gifted Minds. It's me, Paul Simon Phiri Mzakazi. Until next time, bye-bye.